guys, Tomboy601, and today we're taking a look at the Graf Zeppelin. And I know when you first heard about this ship, you thought of this scenario that you're watching right here, right? A destroyer is charging you, the secondaries light up, and you get that secondary battery, the close quarters expert as you gun him down. And well, let me tell you, this is a rare feat, guys. I tried for like 10, 15 games. This is the first one I got. Graf Zeppelin is, we'll talk about it in the review anyways. We're gonna go over the commander, the modules, and then show off a game. So with all that said, let us just dive on in. And I will say, at first I did start building, I used this ship like I would play Parsifal, just because I didn't want to build into the meme build. But honestly, if you're buying the ship, you should just go ahead and do it, because if you play it like a Parsifal, it's just a worse Parsifal. If you build it like the way we're going to build it, at least that way, it has some distinctive features that make it fun. So that's kind of been my policy on this thing. So anyways, the commander we are running is Hans Geisler. You've probably may not have heard of him, or maybe don't use him very much, or at least I run Starscream usually. But anyways, Geisler, his base trait is gonna boost that secondary battery reload. Our two inspirations are Haruna and Von Hipper for that full-on build of those secondaries. Then we are running Swatting at Flies, one-way ticket, out of sight, heavy consequences, and corkscrew. Usually I would run fully packed, but I was having some penetration issues on the AP bombs. Corkscrew did seem to improve that. I played a ton of games because I usually am a run fully packed sort of person, and it just wasn't having it. And then the one game we're going to end up showing at the end, the one I talked through, is like if everything goes right and it feels like the way you want a Zeppelin match to go. But we'll get to that later. Upgrades, the modules that we are running, because we are full memeing into that secondary build, we are running secondary mod 1. In the second slot, we are running secondary mod 2. Third slot, we are running concealment mod. And in the final slot, we are running the air groups mod, just because we're not going to go for the secondary reload. So that's what we have next. As far as the consumables go, just with this build, you get 2 charges of the engine cooler, 3 charges of patrol fighters, and 2 charges of the evasive maneuvers on each set of planes. And then you have the 4 sets of home fighters and 60 seconds of damage con. And there's something I do want to pick a bone with. If you go over into the overview tab, one of the things that's supposed to be great about this is the high octane fuel, which says the planes are equipped with a more powerful engine boost. And so like, there's many ways that this could be interpreted. As far as like the duration of the engine boost, it feels the same as any other plane. What doesn't feel the same is your base cruise speed. So what it feels like they do, and we'll get to this in the stats, is the base cruise speed of the planes is significantly lower. And they've made this trait so that when you actually use the engine boost, it's back up to normal German speeds, which is a choice. And it just kind of feels like you created a problem to solve a problem on the sticker sheet there. Like, that's the way it feels. Are you getting the vibe that I'm not a huge fan of this boat? I hope you are. This thing's a pain. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive on in to the stats of the ship, because, well, what else are we going to do? Graf Zeppelin, hit points 52,600 with an armor thickness of 20. It's coated in 21 meters, and its flight deck has 25 meters. We'll go ahead and take a look at that armor view and look at her in all her glory. Yeah, slightly thicker deck. It does like to withstand from some lower caliber HE, as we'll show in the game later. Overall, you guys, it's an aircraft carrier. Is squishy. Is a very squishy ship. Next up, let's go talk torpedo reduction. 0%, which means if you play this ship aggressively, kind of like the way they want you to, you are eligible for carrier sniping, I shall say. I had a couple of times where I don't know if it was just my name attracting the attention, or just the fact that playing the Zeppelin and its beautiful 0% torp reduction meant it's kind of susceptible to some carrier sniping from the enemy carrier. Hit points. First squadron that you have is the torpedo bombers. Both of them are the Junkers, the Stukas, so that's cool. Hit points on the torpedo bombers is 2,392 with a max speed of 189 knots. You're going to get 3 units in each attack wave, 9 total planes in the air. You're going to get 14 planes total in the hangar. Detectability range on those planes, 10 kilometers. They're going to restore in 80 seconds, which is the longest of any planes. Yeah, it's rough. The damage from the torps is pretty decent. One of the highest, actually, second highest torp damage at 6,511. Torp speed is going to be 45 knots, and the range on those torps is 6 kilometers. The AP bomber squadrons, those planes are going to have 3,584 health, which, even though they are the exact same plane, have more health. Whatever, game. Max speed of the vessel max speed of the plane's 189 knots. You're gonna drop it in sets of 2s, making it worse than the Parseval there. So you get 8 in the air, which means you get 4 drops, which none of them are gonna survive. So you have to do a lot of pre-dropping. This carrier needs a rework already, and we'll talk about that. Total planes is going to be 12. Detectability range on those planes, 9.6 kilometers. Restoration time, 80 seconds. Another long time to get those planes back. Bob damage is going to be 7,752 if you can manage to find a citadel. And, of course, because they're AP bombs, you're not going to be setting any fire. Secondaries, the thing you come here for. You're going to have 6 two-barreled 105mm guns, just like the Parseval. And then additionally, you get 8 two-barreled 150mm guns. The range on those guns with our build, 7.7 kilometers. Yeah, that's some of the worst I've ever gotten for just a straight-up build into secondaries. Reload time on those 105s is going to be 4.3 seconds. Going to do 1,200 damage, and they're going to have a 5% chance to set fire. Reload time on those 150s is going to be 9.1 seconds. You're going to do 1,700 damage, and you have an 8% chance to set fire. AA armament, you're going to have 4.5 kilometers. The minimum damage you're going to be doing is 120 damage per second, and the max you're going to be doing is 310. Max speed of the vessel is 32 knots, with a turning radius of 1,140, and oh boy, it is a big boat, is a big ship. Rudder shift time, 13.7 seconds. Detectability by sea, 10.4. Detectability by air is going to be 7.6. So, yeah, guys, that's the Zeppelin. Like I said, we'll get into it. Next, we'll go ahead and just hop on into a game and talk our way through the game and just my thoughts on the ship overall. Okay, guys, welcome to Shatter. So, as we've kind of discussed, we kind of have the full secondary build put on to the good old Graf Zeppelin here. The plan as far as operating this thing, if you didn't notice, those restoration times on the planes are absolutely massive, and you launch more than half of your planes whenever you put up an air group. So that means when you play Graf Zeppelin, you cannot lose your planes, and well, that means you're probably going to have to do a lot of pre-dropping, i.e., once your planes get in the air, send at least one flight home, because usually what ends up happening, given the strength of these planes, is one set of planes you send back, one set of planes is able to make a run, and the other set of planes blows up on your way into the target. And that's usually how it plays out right now in Graf Zeppelin. So you don't really want to be flying around with your full sets of planes, or else you're going to get deplaned incredibly quickly. This is Graf Zeppelin is one of the I'm going to say highest skill ceiling aircraft carriers there are, just because of how on top of plane management you can be. If you get caught out by, say, an enemy fighter group, and they take out half your squadron, yeah, you're you're very fully on the way to being deplaned. It is a skill you need to learn, and one that you are going to need to master, because if you don't, there are some very bad times ahead for you. So what's our plan? We're gonna sneak the body of the boat up behind this island here. Now, I would love to be able to use autopilot to get us into here, but my experiences with autopilot while playing this ship have been absolutely terrible. It is not precise enough for a ship that you are going to need to rely on positioning for, especially things like secondary battery. It's just not there. So you will want to pilot it into specific places, because you are going to want to be able to have an easy out. What you're seeing us fly now is our wonderful AP dive bombers, and we have to pre-drop here. Most of the time I would end up pre-dropping 2 sets of planes, but Frederick de Gross, we're going to try to take a shot in. Now, you may notice something very unique about Graf Zeppelin's planes here, and that is the fact that we have a circular bomb drop. And this is a feature of the plane, and one that I do actually like, because it means you can make these kind of turn and burn sort of runs where you come in at a perpendicular angle to the boat, drop the bombs, burn so that you get out of the range of the artillery, turn back around once you're out of that plane's AA range, and cycle like that. That is kind of how you have to play Graf Zeppelin, because the planes turn incredibly slowly. They feel like they have the turning circle of the ship. I don't know what it is. I think it may be because the cruising speed of these guys is so low that maybe they just don't execute turns like any of the other planes. But it feels like it takes forever to rotate these planes around. As you can see, we make one loop, circle back onto our own torpedoes. This is the good old double strike strategy right here. Let one set of torpedoes loose, and then come in for an actual aimed set. So yeah, this is kind of how you have to play Graf Zeppelin. Now, how would I fix Graf Zeppelin? Because I'm sure you can tell by my tone, I am not a huge fan. I think the secondary range that you receive for having some of the hardest planes to play in the game, and ones that can be relatively underwhelming, is just frankly not worth the trade-off, and I don't know why anyone would want to buy this ship. So if I was to do the Tommy buffs to make this ship competitive, it would be a couple of things. One, the bomb drops, we need to boost it to the Parsifal levels. 3 sets of 3 planes in the air. Maybe give a couple more planes, or bring down that restoration time just a tad, or maybe just, not have so many planes up in the air, because the amount of micromanagement you have to do to be able to keep all of the planes cycling, and like a lot of times I would end up dropping 2 with the bombers. I dropped 2 sets of bombs just to be able to feel comfortable to make a run, because I knew if I kept three attack runs in the thing, they were all going to die no matter what. So at least that would limit my deaths. But overall, the planes just don't feel great to play at the moment. They need a rework. And the other thing is the base secondary range. That is the shtick of this thing. That is what it's supposed to be all about. And right now, I have it fully spec'd into it, and it's not great. Now, we have been told that technically the algorithm aiming these secondary batteries is the best. It is supposed to be the most accurate secondaries in the game, even more than Massachusetts. We will see. Anyways, the Cleveland noticed that, oh wow, you're just sitting right here. We're gonna come attack. We're gonna back out and use those secondaries to engage this Cleveland right here. One little annoying bit is we were well within range of that Cleveland, but he didn't. The secondary batteries did not want to fire until half the boat was out, which there are just the little autopilot details here and there. The way the game auto manages things just drives me crazy. you'll see a bit later, but like when you're in autopilot, did you know that like the ship reverses and then when it needs to stop, it doesn't throw the ship in full forward, even though like its path is planned to reverse and then throw into full forward. It reverses, throws it into stop, then once it's in stop, then raises it up to full forward. I You need to be able to be precise with the Graf Zeppelin. You need to be able to be precise with the autopilot in order to make Graf Zeppelin work, because you're playing at a knife's edge when you're trying to use the secondaries effectively. And for that to be the way it works is just kind of wholly unacceptable as far as being able to make this vessel work. So what would my other kind of rework be? I want, if they wouldn't rework the planes, they need to rework the secondary battery range. They need to make it so that if you build into secondaries, your detectability ring and your secondary battery ring are a ton closer. I think that would be a good trade-off for the state of the planes currently, because as of now, the state of the planes, they're just not fun. I will happily go play Kaga and Saipan, two other premium ships, two other premium aircraft carriers, two way better premium aircraft carriers that were free, right? This is the first paid-for premium at 17,500. Well, I mean, you could technically say we set that price in the elements of choice with Loyang and Friesland, and yes, I bought out my Loyang, so I guess, yes, I paid for a tier 7 at that price previously. But it's an aircraft carrier. It needs, and if you're charging what is essentially $80 for an aircraft carrier, or any boat really, it needs to feel like it's worth it. And previously, they set the bar, I'm going to be frank, really high with Saipan and Kaga. Those ships were fantastic. They were fantastic aircraft carriers that offered a unique playstyle or a unique shtick. This vessel's unique shtick just doesn't live up. And when it is the first one that you are asking real money for, that let's be clear, ever since they've announced aircraft carriers, has been the one people have been hyped for. I just don't see how you can release it in this current state. We do end up eating a Shima Torp here, and we start charging it down because we want to get the full use out of the secondary, so enjoy that. But yeah, as of right now, I just wholly do not feel like Graf Zeppelin is worth it. This is the only game I had in it where it felt like I was able to successfully play it somewhat the way you would like to play it, right? Get a good number of secondary hits, be able to get some citadels, because even when I wasn't using corkscrew, citadels were kind of hard to come by, and that new bombing indicator, while yes, it gives you the advantage of you don't have to line up the enemy ship, the RNG algorithm does make it feel like it always goes for parts of the ship that are outside that box. And when you try to line something up, when you're trying to line up a citadel, which is usually down the straight narrow of the ship, these AP bombs, while yes, it's nice that you don't have to really worry about having to line it up correctly. They do feel somewhat imprecise, and that's why I'm saying you need the three planes just to increase that chance. Anyways, Shima dropped his torps. We're just going to try to get out of the way. Unfortunately, we're not going to make it, but we've taken a decent chunk. We've gotten 25 hits on that Shima, which really, for a secondary battery, is pretty decent. I will give it that. And the team will summarily execute the Shima as one should. So guys, that's the Graf Zeppelin. I think you can tell by my tone of voice, I don't think you should pick it up. I think it's a fairly not good ship. And guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.